Thank you. Thanks so much, Al. Thank you very much for your kind words. I'm feeling very flattered, very honoured, and very moved by this. I'm also feeling quite humbled because, to be honest with you, what we did when we were in prison was simply do our best to survive. You really don't have much of a choice. Real bravery is when you're faced with a dilemma, when you're faced with a choice about how to respond to a given situation. In our case, we really didn't have a choice. The options are sinking, going crazy, losing yourself in prison, or standing up for what you believe in, defending yourself, defending your profession, defending the principles that you stand for. And in that respect, there really was no choice at all. We simply had to do what we had to do, and I wager that almost any one of you here today would have made the same choices as we did. One of the things that, in a lot of respects, I've had the opportunity to do is to do something which most of us probably should do, but thankfully most of us will never have to do, and that's discover that my limits are a lot further than I ever imagined. I'm pretty sure that every one of you who's ever considered our situation, wondered how you'd cope in prison, would have coped far better than you ever imagined. I've been lucky because I've been able to be through that situation, to have tested myself and discovered that actually my limits are further than I imagined. I'm sure that'll be the case for everyone here. There are a couple of other things that you should also know. While we were in prison, we had some idea of the campaign that was going on around us. We got occasionally the news would filter in about some of the things that were taking place, the Zip the Lips campaign, the demonstrations, the protests, the online messages, the Twitter and Facebook campaigns and so on. We knew about what the network was doing to support us only peripherally. My parents came to me a couple of times and they said, "Listen, Peter, you really don't understand just how big this thing is getting." And I said, "Well, yeah, of course I don't get it. I can't possibly understand." But in my own mind, I thought, well, look, I'm a journalist. Of course I get this. Of course I understand. I've got to tell you, we had no idea of just how extraordinary the collective effort has turned out to be. Al Jazeera was at the very center of that. You lot were at the very center of that. And that helped us in ways you cannot begin to understand. It helped because, obviously, at the wider level, it supported us. Obviously, it helped increase the pressure around the world. It helped make sure that the Egyptian authorities understood that they were holding innocent people, but that they also could not continue to hold us and maintain respect in the eyes of the wider international community. But here's what you might not also know. That for us as individuals, it helped more than you can possibly imagine. The problem is that when you're in prison, it can often seem as a very personal, very nasty, very bitter struggle. What we didn't want this to be, what I didn't want this to be, was to be a fight between ourselves, the three of us, and the Egyptian authorities. What it turned out to be was a fight between a government and a set of principles. The support that you gave us made it a struggle between a set of principles. It meant that we were defending those principles. That's really what made it survivable. The knowledge that we weren't in that cell alone, the knowledge that all of you were there with us, that all of you were there but defending us, and at times all we had to do was to recognize and think about the numbers of people that were actively supporting us before we realized that we're in fact inside a very, very crowded cell indeed. So I want to thank you. I want you all to recognize the contribution that you made, the fact that you're able to put real steel into the spines of all three of us. This is not something we could have done on our own. I feel incredibly honored to be here. I feel incredibly proud of everything, not just that we three did, but that the network did, and in fact that the industry achieved as a whole. It's been incredibly empowering. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in the entire history of the media, to be honest with you. The kind of campaign, the universality of the campaign, it wouldn't have happened without the integrity of the people that are standing here with us today. So there's been plenty of thanks and goodwill from you lot. I'd like to return that and say thank you to everybody here for all of the support that you gave us. Thank you.